paperwork I gave you was in there for the conversion.
Okay, here's the scoop. The QRP radio works fine on 20 meters, okay? The direct digital synthesis is on 40 meters, on 7 meg. How do you change that from 7 meg to 14 meg? That was my question, DJ, over.
Okay, when I read through that, it said that you got to change the coil. And it had the information there. I gave that to you in the package.
Okay, all right, I'll have to investigate that. All right, enough of that. All right, let's take it in groups of 3 and spread it out, fellas. Don't give me a pile up like they do for Falkland Islands or something like that. So let's take it easy here. So in groups of 3, please, and spread it out. NY6L, November
Foxtrot, Whiskey Alpha 6, Juliet, Kilowatt, November.
Good luck, JW7MS.
Stand by. Someone's at the front door. Be right back. NY6L.
Well, that's one way to check into the net is knock on the front door.
Probably an interference complaint. Hello, DJ. Nice to hear you. Good evening.
Yeah, I'm working on an HRO 500. I read your article there, and I'm probably going to do that on the product detector.
Okay, well, good luck. You're getting some good advice from Rocco, and while Rocco was dissertating, I was observing my 500, and it needs to get exercised.
I like to receive it. That's amazing.
All right, NY6L back, and let's try it again here. Please spread it out and go slowly, please. I got W7MS so far. Over.
N6WHK, November 6, America, Florida.
W6YEC, Lemon Grove.
K6ZTA, Whiskey, WA6, Juliet, Kilowatt, November.
Kilo Foxtrot 6, Quebec, November, Golf.
SKB7LOQ. K6FPW.
I'm not seeing. Well, it's not going to be working out very well for me, guys. Everybody's on top of each other. Okay, I'm going to read this off. I got K6KOI John. I got N6KN Rocco. K6RCL DJ. I got W7MS. I didn't get the name. N6WHK. I got Phil. I got George, W6YEC. So, one at a time, slowly, please. NY6L.
K6ZTA groups, I suggest. K6ZTA. November 6, Alpha, Foxtrot. WA6, Jacks, Kings, and 9s. WA9, JIB. Whiskey 6, Delta, Quebec, and
Kilo Foxtrot 6, Quebec, November, Golf.
Kilo Bravo, Uniform Sierra. Denny Falls, TSA.
and KN6, IYC. Yeah, K6ZTA.
You're a little bit under the weather.
K6 Foxtrot Echo Whiskey.
November 4, Delta, Lima, Alpha.
I'm talking about into the voltage.
Okay, I'm having a hard time with this, you guys. I'm sorry, my apologies. Just trying to write this down, and it's just giving me a very difficult time here, you guys. So, I don't know. Well, I'll give it one more try. If not, I'll have to have someone else take the earlies, NY6L.
The Santa Claus.
November 6 Alpha Fox, you got that one? K6LGL, good evening.
KB7LOQ.
WA6 Juliet Kilowatt November.
K6ZTA. November 4 Delta Lima Alpha. And KN6 IYC.
All right, so far I got K6KOI, KN6KN, K6RCL, W7MS, N6WHK, W6YEC, K6ZTA, KN6IYC, N6AF, K6LGL, KB7LOQ, and KN6I. Oh, I got already KN6IYC already. All right. So let's groups of 3, please. Over NY6L. Taking the earlies.
That's it, man. I want you guys on
NU6X.
Whiskey 6 Delta Quebec and Kilo Foxtrot 6 Quebec November Golf.
With the illegal microphone.
Okay, I got WA9JIB, NU6X. Got you, Lisa, there, KF6QNG, and get your call to Dennis in there. I'll write it down in just a minute. All right, another group of 3, please. Slowly, please. NY6L.
Whiskey Alpha 6 Juliet Kilowatt November.
Okay, WA6JKN, got you. Anybody else?
November 4 Delta Lima Alpha.
No pants, man.
Okay, got a weak station there, so it's November 4 Delta Lima Alpha, over.
Roger, roger. Yep, this is playing and record.
Okay, I'll read the list one more time. Okay, I got K6KOI, N6KN, K6RCL, W7MS, N6WHK, W6YEC, K6ZTA, KN6IYC, N6AF, K6LGL, KB7LOQ, WA9JIB, NU6X, KF6QNG, WA6JKN, and N4DLA, Delta Lima Alpha. Anybody else? Give it in group of 3 to me, please, slowly. NY6L.
W6DQ, Whiskey 6 Delta Quebec.
Gotcha, Dennis.
A6 Foxtrot Echo Whiskey. A6 Foxtrot Echo Whiskey.
Kilo 0 Bravo, uniform Sierra.
Oh, we knew it.
Okay, I got KF6QNG and W6DQ, WA6JKN, and N4DLA. Anybody else?
Whiskey 4 Tango here.
Kilo 6 Foxtrot Echo Whiskey.
Good evening, Bobby. Okay, last station one more time, please. NY60.
Over there, Chief.
That was K6SEW. Whiskey, over.
All right, Skip, got it written down. All right. Anybody else? NY60 taking the early check-ins for the vintage sideband net coming up at 7 o'clock.
Charlie Whiskey.
He heard me.
Anybody else want to check in for the earlies? NY60.
Whiskey 4, Juliet, Charlie Whiskey.
Okay, there's a Whiskey 4, Juliet something. Come again, please.
Yep, Whiskey 4, Juliet, Charlie Whiskey.
Okay, got you there. W4JCW. Anybody else?
Checking in. I don't know what the mess about.
All right. Well, okay. I guess that we'll take a break here for a couple of minutes here, and we'll come back to you guys in just a minute here. NY60, I'll be right back.
W89JAD for CB7LOQ.
Hey, Bob, how you doing? I've got your radio loaded in the back of my truck, headed to Phoenix tomorrow, and we'll be probably heading from Phoenix to your place sometime in early to mid-December, if that's okay, over?
Yeah, okay, just wanted to check. Make sure that the amp didn't go to somebody else. Not that they're lining up for it or anything. So, okay, so sometime in the first half of December, and we'll talk about it. Okay, I just wanted to know the plan, and going back to standby, WA9JIB.
Yeah, I've ordered a special back brace to help me lift the amplifier high. And Mark, NU6X, if you're listening, talk to my friend Bill, and we're thinking of sometime early next week heading up to your place. But I will be contacting you, talking to you on the phone, and seeing what day and what time would be best for you. Really looking forward to that also, KB7LOQ.
Sounds good, Art, NU6X.
Every one of you was allowed in Utah. Not tonight. This final SBR in California. They allowed in Utah. Oh, yeah. K6KY N6F for a quick question. NI6Q flex stuff.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, you. How are you?
Now we're waiting for that controller. Good evening.
All right. What's the temperature and flag, KB7LOQ? It was actually nice today. You know, we were outside sipping coffee. And it's not freezing point at night, so it's pretty darn nice right now. It was windy the last days, though, but today was really nice, and I think we're going to probably have a nice Thanksgiving weekend, so we'll find out.
Yeah, that's great. But I hope you get a lot of snow this year, and up here in Utah, too.
my kids were little. I lived in Phoenix most of my life. Kids were little. We'd go up for the weekend and go to Flagstaff and stay at that hotel that had a covered pool, but it was all clear, so you could be swimming in the pool and the snow would be coming down. It was pretty cool. Anyway, I'm babbling along here. Good to hear you, Brian. KB7LOQ.
You have a safe trip.
Yeah, same with you. Very strong signal, very good quality.
Thank you, and Don, we'll see you Friday.
Yeah, see you Friday.
Be careful, John.
Yeah, good.
Best signal to Santa Monica, JLOQ.
I was fucking marking that down.
I didn't let me ID. W4CSH.
Let's see if Dave is around WJ6W NY6L. Are you on board, Dave?
Yes, sir. Jay, I just rushed in the room as I heard you calling, so just sat down here, and let's see. Oh, it's getting close to time. You can give me the list as you have it, and we can get started. Go ahead.
Okay, Dave, very good. Yeah, just a little overwhelming for me to do this, but it's okay. A couple of pile-ups, shall we say. Okay, whenever you're ready, I'll just go ahead and give you the call signs as I have them, Dave, over.
Yeah, okay, Jay, go ahead.
Okay, first off, I have K6KOI, John, K6KOI. Next is N6KN, Rocco, N6KN. I have K6RCL, DJ, over.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm copying okay.
Yeah, the rest I didn't catch the name, so I'll just give you a call sign, Dave, over.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay, the next three, I have W7MS, Whiskey 7 Mike Sierra. Next, I have N6WHK, that's Phil, N6WHK. Next is George, W6YEC, Whiskey 6 Yankee Echo Charlie, over.
Yeah, copy 100%.
Green mile.
Okay, next is Vaughn, K6ZTA, that's Kilo 6 Zulu Tango Alpha. Next is KN6IYC, that's Kilo Nancy 6 India Yankee Charlie, over.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Next is N6AF, November 6 Alpha Fox. Next is K6LGL, Skip, Kilo 6 Lima Golf Lima. Next is KB7LOQ, Kilo Bravo 7 Lima Oscar, Quebec, over.
Yes, 100% copy.
Okay, very good. Next is WA9JIB, Bob, Whiskey Alpha 9, Juliet, India, Bravo. Next is NU6X, November Uniform 6 X-Ray. And next one is KF6QNG, Kilo Foxtrot 6, Quebec, Nancy Golf, and of course Dennis, Whiskey 6, Delta, Quebec, over.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, next is WA6JKN, November, Whiskey Alpha 6, Juliet King, November, KWA6JKN. Next is N4DLA, November 4 Delta Lima Alpha. Over.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
Okay, the last couple I have here is K6FEW, Kilo 6 Foxtrot Echo Whiskey. And the last one I have on my list is Whiskey 4 Juliet Charlie Whiskey. Over.
W4 Juliet Charlie Whiskey. I've got that. And also, let's see, I heard Brian in there, NI6Q. I'm putting him down, Brian. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, Jay, is that the list?
Yep, that's what I have so far. Dave, go ahead.
Oh, okay, and I'll put you down, I have you down as number 4, is that okay?
Oh, yeah, that'll be fine, Dave, not a problem.
Okay, very good, Jay. Thank you very much for taking the list here. And before we hit 7 o'clock, let me see if there's anyone else who wants to get on the list before we start.
Kilo Whiskey 1, November Golf.
Okay, KW1MG. Very good. All right. Let me get the preamble up here so I can read it. Jay, thanks for taking the earlies. Yeah, I imagine some of the calls aren't familiar to you, so it was a little hard taking some of them, I'm sure. Anyway, let's see. Welcome, everybody, to the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable. This is Dave, WJ6W, in Tarzana, California, and I'm the host for this evening's roundtable. Tonight's station I'm using is my Collins KWM2 312B5 and the Collins 30L1 amplifier. That goes up to an inverted V for this band near this frequency. We meet each Tuesday evening at or near 3895 kilohertz. And let me ask, is there anyone suffering from QRM as any reason to QSY?
No problem in Arizona.
Okay, well that's a good test. And I thought I heard a little QRM there, but it seems good. Okay, all of us should be using equipment that was manufactured before 1981 or home-built equipment with equivalent technology. First-timers, however, may use modern equipment. So, does anyone have any announcements related to vintage single-sideband radios? Okay, we'll continue on. We have a question of the evening, which tonight is, when I get it up, the question is actually provided by Frank, K6FEW, who is near the bottom of the list, but thank you very much, Frank. I think it's a great question. So the question from Frank is, what was the most obscure part you ever needed to bring an old rig back to life? And how or where did you finally find a replacement? So I'll just read that again. What was the most obscure part that you ever needed to bring an old rig back to life? And how or where did you finally find a replacement? So everybody, if you would think about that question, and please keep your responses to 2 minutes so everyone has a chance in a reasonable amount of time. So we'll take the first 4. If I haven't forgotten anything else, the first 4 I have is John, K6KOI, and next is Rocco, N6KN. Rocco, turn it over to DJ, K6RCL, and then bring it over to JNY6L, and then back to me. K6KOI, WJ6W.
Well, thank you, Dave, K6KOI. And thank you, Jay. You did a great job. It's the first time you've done it. It's not an easy thing to do, and you've handled it very, very well. And you've got a good, strong signal. So you get an A+. This is John and Delmar, and tonight I am using 4
semi-rig, an HP 8656B signal generator, going into a heat kit SD10 adapter, sideband adapter, and that's going into a 2-transistor amplifier running 70 watts, and the receiver is a Drake 1A. And the answer to the question, a great question, by the way, there are a couple of answers, but one I'll choose, which is the most recent obscure part that I needed, and it was the Ford extender, original Heathkit Ford extender for an SB104A. There are some replacement extenders out there, but they don't work so well. The original works beautifully, and the way I got it is I put a want ad on QTH.com, and somebody had one, and they didn't want much money for it, and it's been put to good use. I won't say that it got it put life back into it, but it kept life into it, and it certainly helped with alignment. So that's my story over to Rocco in 6KM, K6KY.
Okay. Let's see if I can get on frequency. I was going the wrong way. K6KY and the group from N6KM. Well, good evening there, Freddie. I've been off the air for a couple of months because the antenna has been laying on the ground, and I've been out of the country. And thanks to Jay and Dave, both of you. Okay, great question. This is not an obscure part, but it is a hard-to-get part, as it turns out. And I will tell this story because I want somebody, if they've got one of these, and I want to do somebody a favor. I picked up a 51S1 from Brian, K6IJ, and it had a bad power transformer. And Wayne, W6IRD, bless his heart, actually loaned me a round emblem 51S1 that needed some work and allowed me to transplant the transformer from that one into my 51S1, which now works great. So Wayne is now stuck without a power transformer for that 51S1. So if there's anybody out there who has a line at 120 volts or even a 28 volt power transformer for a 51S1, he would sure like to have a call from you. And thank you, Wayne, if you're listening from the bottom of my heart. K6RCL, go ahead, DJ.
Okay, real good, thank you. N6RCL, DJ here at Coletta. And I didn't get the question. I'm out cooking dinner. I just came back in the room here just as you picked it up, Rocco. I have a question for, in particular, W7MS.
Well, today she got out of school. She said, I don't have to go to bed early tonight. No school tomorrow night.
If anybody that has worked on it, doing it, I would like to get some social with you or whatever information you have and send it to K6RCL@KRRL.com. I think that's what it is. Anyway, you can get me through that. It's a one-way deal, but that's okay. I need that. I'm trying to gather all the information I can. I'm working on an HRO 500. It's an amazing radio, but it needs to work. And mine is the 75 series. So, and with that, thank you for taking it early. She did a great job. And thank you, Dave, for taking it. I got to get back into cooking.
You got tomorrow night?
So with that, goodbye. And what I check? K6RCL.
Okay, very good. Thank you, DJ. K6RCL. NY6LJ here in Hesperia. We're switched rigs here, so I'm on the TS 830S here running barefoot, about 125 watts. Okay, difficult part, obscure part. Well, I'm restoring a Atlas 210X that needs a transistor array IC. Part of it is used for microphone preamplification. Other parts of it is used for the signal strength amplifier. Well, that part of that transistor went bad in the IC chip, and that's an obsolete part. So it's an RCA part, and I was able to locate one available from a company called Jamesco, and it's coming in the mail probably tomorrow or the next day. So I ordered 3 of them just to have 2 as spares. So, that way I want to get the S meter to work properly, because right now it's doing diddly squat, nothing. So, bad transistor. So, that's my story. Now I'm gonna stick to it there. All right, over to you there, Dave. WJ6W NY6L. Jay here in a very cold Hesperia in the high desert.
Okay, Jay, NY6L and the other folks there, WJ6W. Well, very good. You know, Jay, I have a 210X, and if you'd have called me, I would have given you one of those. I think I have one. I had problems with my 210X. I got it not working, and I looked up all the various parts I thought I might potentially need, and you're right, they're pretty much all obsolete. However, I did find a lot of them available on eBay, and maybe like you said, I don't know if you said Digikey or New, I forgot the company you said you got it from. But anyway, I have parts. If you need, I have some that I did buy. So if you need more, give me an email, or if you have my number, give me a call. My email's good on QRZ, of course. But anyway, I got my 210X mainly working with a new driver transistor and replacing an electrolytic or two, and I did buy an extender off eBay, which was semi-helpful. Didn't need it that much, but that was kind of interesting. And Rocco, N6KN, I asked Wayne if he had a 51S1 that I could borrow, because I have one that needs work, and I'd like a working one just to compare waveform levels throughout the radio, but I guess that's not going to happen. Hi. So anyway, that's quite a coincidence there. Okay, so let's see. Let me call for any other people who'd like to get on the Vintage Sideband Roundtable list. Come now.
K2RP.
I'm sorry, I stepped on you there. Come again.
Kilo 2 Romeo Papa.
Okay, Ron, gotcha. K2RP. Let's see, I'd like to break the order a little bit. I noticed there's a station way back east, I think in South Carolina, and I don't know if you're still copying or if you're copying me at all, but W4JCW. W4JCW. If you're out there, go ahead and take a turn. This is WJ6W in Los Angeles.
That's what I plan to do.
Yeah, I kind of figured maybe either he went away or propagation changed, but we'll try again when we reach him in the order on the list. So the next group I have, the next group of 4 is W7MS Mike, and then N6WHK Phil, followed by W6YEC George, and then by Vaughn, K6ZTA. This is WJ6W. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, thank you, Dave. WJ6W, W7MS, Mike in Reno, and a big thanks to Jay for
Putting up with all of us. And a double thanks for Jay.
And also thanks, Dave, for taking the net tonight. Excellent propagation, which is a plus, but not if you're doing the earlies, which is quite a pile-up.
But running the National NCX 1000, about 550 watts out, the usual 444 microphone, and the usual coax-fed dipole antenna for here on 75 meters. So fine on DJ's comments on the 500, and fine on Jay's issues. I have replaced that specific IC array, transistor array, in 2 different Atlas radios. So welcome to the club. And my hard-to-find unobtainium component was the 1000 series emitter-coupled logic integrated circuit, otherwise known as MECL, with the M standing for Motorola, and that was for my HRO 600. And specifically, it's a MC1027. I had to dig through my notes here, and that's a JK flip-flop that was used as an N divider. It used 4 of those guys in the first HFO synthesizer. A long obsolete part was introduced in the 60s and was a dead duck by the 70s. But they would operate at 100 megahertz, which was lightning fast for that era. So that was the choice of the national engineers in designing that synthesizer. But trying to find that part, since it had limited sales and limited shelf life, and as we've all experienced, I think it's harder to find these solid-state components in a vacuum tube. It's quite the case. But had to deal with component brokers who are nothing more than just resellers who will mark up an item, and the pricing was totally ridiculous. You know, I'm not going to spend $50 for what I consider a 10-cent integrated circuit. But finally found a component broker who was honest and actually had the components in Chicago. Felt sorry for me and sent me half a dozen MC1027P MECL JK flip-flops, so that got the HRO 600 going. But that took me a couple of years to find the right person and someone that actually had the components on hand. So there you go. That's my MECL story, and like Jay, I'm going to stick to it. So over to you, Phil. N6WHK W7MS.
W7MS. Good evening to you, sir. November 6th, Whiskey Hotel Kilo. I don't really have much for this session this time around, because I haven't really worked on too many float anchors or anything else on the radio line. I won't say supervised, but I did watch a little bit and help a little bit, but that's about it. We do have a newcomer on, KN6IYC. This will be his first time on the net tonight, but net lineup didn't go quite right. With that, over to George, W6YEC and 6WHK.
Okay, Phil, thanks a lot. W6YEC. Good evening to everybody. Running the Tango Sugar 520 Sugar tonight with the 30L1 amplifier. And let's see here, the Kenwood SM220 scope. We always enjoy running it, being able to see what's going on up and down the band of the fan adapter and watch everybody's signal bounce up and down. Anyway, you know, I was racking my brain on this question, and I can't think of...
Well, I'm here in Washington.
I can't think of a time when I wasn't able to find the part. But what I did think of is a part I'm looking for a Hallicrafter's SX42 is the brake knob. That has been obscure. I haven't been able to find one, and I'm sure they're out there. But the brake knob would finish up my SX42. Knob goes on the dial there, puts the brake on, and lets you use one of the knobs for the main dial and also for the fine tuning band spread. Anyway, that's my answer, Dave. Thanks for taking the net here tonight. And let's see. And welcome aboard, Larry. Looking forward to hearing what you're using there. And I think it goes to you, Vaughn. K6ZTA. Take it away, W6YEC.
Okay, George, thank you. Yeah, W6YEC, K6ZTA. Out here in Woodland Hills. Yeah, the name is Vaughn, Victor, Oscar, November. And we're running a 100V and driving an SSB 220 up to about 1,000 watts peak. And we've got a Drake 2B receiver and a 10D microphone and an inverted V hanging off the tower. Okay, question of the evening. Well, I'll have to say when I had the ICO 753, which I don't have anymore, I passed that on to Steve, KF6SYD. And at any rate, when I had, I was trying to tune it up and trying to check it out to make sure it was working right, because I wasn't real convinced it was working right, and mainly because I couldn't get the AM to work very, very well anyway. So anyway, there was a tube, a mixer, it was an oscillator mixer tube called a 7360. And my God, what is that? Well, lo and behold, Bob had one, JIB had one, and I still have it. So I'm storing it. I'm actually I'm taking care of it for the moment, but eventually it'll get back to Bob. And if Steve ever needs one, then he knows where he'll get it. Okay, that's it for me. Back to you there, Dave, and thank you. WJ6W, K6ZTA.
Yeah, well, K6ZTA, WJ6W. Okay, very good. Well, some good responses there. I guess we could add to the question tonight, if you are looking for something that's impossible to find, let us know, like George has with his SX42 missing brake knob. So, anyway, if there is anything you need, just put it out there. So, let me call for any other check-ins now. This is WJ6W for the Vintage Sideband Roundtable.
KN6WNE.
KN6WNE, and what's the name?
This is Keith, and I'm in El Segundo.
Okay, Keith in El Segundo. You're on a fairly long list here, so hopefully you can stick around. I'm WJ6W up in Tarzana in the valley. So let me read the question for some of the latecomers. The question of the evening tonight for the Vintage Signal Sideband Roundtable is, what is the most obscure part you ever needed to bring an old rig back to life? Excuse me. And how or where did you finally find a replacement? So let's continue on with the next four. Next we have Larry, KN6IYC. And then Larry, turn it to Chuck, N6AF. And then Chuck over to Skip, K6LGL. And then Skip to Art, KB7LOQ. Go ahead, it's WJ6W.
Say a stove up here? All right, Dave, WJ6W. Thanks for getting me on the list, Jay, and NY6L. Good to hear everybody. This is Larry, KN6IYC in the Granite Hills above El Cajon, California. With 65 degrees. And actually, I'm running the FT101E. I'm listening on a matching speaker that matches the carrier and has, it just looks like it belongs with this unit. In fact, I think it does belong with this unit. I'm running the FT101 barefoot. The signal's going out to the AT200 Pro and then up to my inverted V at about 25 feet. Anyway, gosh, on the question, I came into the hobby in the solid state era. So most of my stuff that I acquired when I first got into the ham hobby, I still have, and it's been functioning pretty
well, but as I wanted to get into the bench equipment, I had great helpers, some great brothers helping play with those pieces of equipment. Well, I guess the only thing that happened was on the Viking Ranger, it was giving me fits because it was, it sparked and arced so badly, it bit the needle on the meter, and I had to take that thing apart and actually got in there, took the whole meter apart and fixed that. But my problem was, it was a bad 6146 was causing my dilemma. And so I had to hunt that down because, the tester was saying it was spare, but it turns out that rascal was just flat bad. And I had to go through quite a few to find a good one. And thanks to my friend Joe, he had a host of tubes in his little tube stash, and he was able to get me fixed up with that. So nothing really obscure, just tube 6146, but maybe if I stay in the hobby long enough, I'll have something to really throw me for a loop. Anyway, that's it from here from KM6IYC. So I'm going to send to Chuck. Hey, Chuck, coming your way from KM6IYC.
All right, thanks. November 6 Alpha Fox. And Chuck in Emerald Hills up above Redwood City. I'm on the KWM2 tonight, driving a homebrew solid state amp, kind of backed off about 350 out. It's a set of 4 MRF 421s. They're pretty beefy BJTs in there. Inverted B, full size at 35 feet. So what a coincidence. I have the radio that is my answer to the question of the evening sitting right next to me, and I was using it earlier today and yesterday afternoon on AM. It's a Johnson Ranger 2 that I picked up for dirt cheap, and it turned out that this issue was a physical one rather than an electronic part. For so many of us, I'm sure you're familiar with the Ranger and the Ranger 2. And for the band switching, there's a secondary band switch that's got a single wafer on it that's buried inside the internal VFO box, right? And that was frozen. The shaft in that little band switch inside the VFO was frozen solid, and I went in there with liquid wrench, carefully, and tried to work it, and it absolutely could not get the thing. It was like it was welded. The shaft was, the aluminum was sort of welded in its collar, and I'm grabbing with vice grips, and so, I'm going to have to take it out of there. Now, where am I going to get another one? Well, this is a tribute to Marvin, KG6YDI. Remember him on the up in Bonnie Doon on the AIM net? And he invited me over to his house before he passed away, and he gave me about 3 Ranger carcasses and a Ranger 2 carcass. So that was very, very kind of him. So there's a little bit of Marvin in my Ranger 2 here, because what I had to do was I had to replace that little single wafer band switch. Now, for anybody who's ever worked on that, like the Chernobyl resistor that's in there, that 18K ohm resistor that's notorious, just to get in there to do any soldering, removal of parts, it's almost impossible. I mean, it's hard enough just to get that internal can open. So what am I going to do here? Well, I had worked on another band switch in an HC170, and taken the different wafers off and outside. I'm not going to even attempt to disconnect the wires on that wafer. I'm just going to undo those little nuts and move the wafer off the shaft, and then remove the core of the band switch and put in Marvin's part, and then slip that wafer back on. So I never had to do any soldering, but I don't know what I would have done without Marvin, because I would have had to buy a whole spare Ranger
or Ranger 2 to get that band switch. So that's my story. So it's always appropriately to say around Thanksgiving, it's always good to have a good carcass hanging around that you can cut a few parts off of if one of your boat anchors gets hungry. How's that for a weird analogy? It's making me hungry. K6LGL, Skip, you're up in 6 a.m.
2 more days, Chuck, and you can carve that turkey high. In 6 a.m. in the Vintage Sideband Roundtable. The 6 little green lights skipping Santa Monica on my 902 DM there. Okay. Well, I started out back around 55, 56, working a lot of World War II, CR-274 and ARC-5s and all that, so there's a lot of missing parts since a lot of those capacitors are shorted, but more recent equipment had to replace the modulation transformer in the Globe King 400 and W6 IRD Wayne Spring came up with a Collins. Managed to shoehorn into that. So now it's got a good 200-watt modulation transformer in there. So that was one unusual thing because trying to find a mod transformer for those early globes is a little difficult. And then I had loaned on my 75A4 to a fellow, and evidently what he did, he ran an RF signal somewhere about 15 or 20 or more watts right in the first RF stage when it was tuned on 75 meters, somewhere around 38 something, And he burned out part of that and literally fried the phenolic phenolic variable inductor that's in there. So I replaced that with a ceramic and then get it rewinded and all this sort of stuff. And, actually I got a better part than Collins used, Collins. So that was one. And then, of course, replacement of various other Motorola old parts are hard to find, and I feel for you who have the Atlas and some of the others in the ST-101s. A lot of bad capacitors, especially the Tamlin. So there's a variety of things. But power transformer had to replace and find one from my old DX100. That went out. Just one of those things. But managed to find one. So, the longer we operate, the longer it will require to find those rare parts. So, I think he goes next door to 5702. And, hey, I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving, which is Thursday, and I'm one of the things I'm thankful for is a nice amateur radio community, both on the sideband, vintage equipment, and amplitude modulation. It's a privilege to know you all. So that's one of the things I'm thankful for. KB7LOQ, K6LGL.
Yeah, K6LGL and the group KB7LOQ Art here in St. George, Utah, running a Kenwood TS520 into an Ameritron A80A, I guess. I thought it was a B, using an MC50 microphone and into an inverted V at 40 feet. Dave, thank you for hosting tonight, and Jay, thank you for taking the earlies. Jay, I've got a theme song for you taking the earlies, and it's "Welcome to the Jungle" by Guns N' Roses. You did well. You hung in there, and you got it done, and I appreciate it. My story is not that lot of rare parts, but maybe the word prescience or in ordering parts. I have a few R390As, needed some parts, and I have a junker that I thought, well, I just need a few parts and I can put this together. And so I called up Fair Radio and ordered a whole bunch of parts and got them and real happy with them. Very, good price and everything. And then I hear a few months ago that Fair Radio is shut down. They have closed. You guys probably know all that, but I just felt lucky that I got what I needed before that wonderful parts place went by way of the wind. So anyhow, signals are great tonight. Everybody sounds good. Back to the roundtable control, WJ6WTB7LOQ.
Okay, Art, KB7LOQ, WJ6W. And thank you for your story and all the others. Yeah, Fair Radio. I heard they're still maybe closing out, but could be wrong on that. Anyway, let me see. Let me keep going tonight. Let's see. Oh, I did want to mention that. Well, we've got two folks here that have benefited from Wayne W6IRD's generosity. They're Skip with a mod transformer and Rocco with the power transformer for his 51S1. So Wayne is very generous, and he's had a lot of stuff. I don't know about anymore, but he's had a lot of stuff. Okay, let's pick up the next four. We have next WA9JIB, Bob, and then Mark, NU6X, then Lisa, KF6QNG, along with Dennis, W6DQ, and then send it back to me, WA9JIB, WJ6W.
Okay, WJ6W, and the group, WA9JIB, Bob over here in La Cañada. It was beautiful today, kind of warm actually, but it's chilly at night. It's my favorite weather, it's the best time of year. I'm running my Dream Helicopter station, it starts with a Kenwood MC50 microphone, HT32B is the transmitter, SX115. Its intended mate is the receiver. I go through a tuner that I got from KTRC, and let's say, what is that, 949E, something like that. I got a R48 speaker, making everybody sound really nice tonight. Antennas and inverted V dipole hanging off a 35-foot mast. So let's see. Well, there was three things I thought I could bring up, but I'll bring up the one having to do with the SX115. So yeah, I had to do a couple little minor things. I love this radio. no criticism, Rocco. I had clipped a couple of capacitors in the primary circuit. This is how they routed it. The noise that came across just the standard house outlet power supply in those days, because they were pretty leaky and put voltages that I didn't really want to be touching on surfaces. But then more to the point was there was a resistor also in there which has current all the time. I guess it's used to heat and stabilize the VFO, and it's on the primary side, and it's like I say, it's always on. So it's always drawing current. And it's a 2K ohm 8-watt resistor in a metal case mounted to a metal bracket that's screwed into the chassis. And it was open. So and it's called a can dome. Well, they're kind of unobtainium. So now what am I going to do? I looked at my junk box, and it turned out I didn't have a 2K can dome, but I had one that was pretty close, maybe a 1.8 or something like that. And so that's what's in the radio now. But the interesting thing is how it wound up in my junk box. I
I got some radios just kind of given to me. They were real junkers out of Scars Meat in Burbank before that. And this was in one of those radios, and of course it was riveted in, and it was in a part of the chassis where it was a really gnarly job to draw out the rivets and get it out of there. And so I started to do it, and I almost gave up 2 or 3 times, trying to pry it out of there and banging my hands. And thought to myself, Bob, why are you working so hard to get this darn resistor out of here? I didn't use the word darn, but and eventually I got it out. I just threw it in a junk box and figured I would never use it. And when I died, it would still be in there. Well, lo and behold, it turned out to be pretty close to the one I needed. I did have to pull the bracket out of the 115 and drill another hole in it. It was a little smaller, but it's been working great. So an unusual part. Now I got a bunch of them. I found at another Scars Meat. But I had to, the methods won't wire around power resistors. They had to be the kind in the metal case that would then, dissipate heat into the chassis. So that's my unusual part. With that, let's see, I turn it to Mark, EU6X, WA9JIB.
Okay, 4-4, hello, radio. Where'd all the power go to?
Oh, well. This is NU6X in beautiful Sedona, Arizona. And let's see. There was a company back started in 1952. It was owned by a fellow with a call sign of W9OHN. And the 2 different transmitters that he built back, first one in 52 and the next one in 1955 was the SS75 and then the SS77. And I have both of them. The hard part is the crystals for the filter, sideband filter. And they were not the FT243s. They were a bigger crystal. And if Brian here, NI6Q, he'll know. It's a military crystal. It's slightly larger than the FT243. And these particular ones take channel 298. I forget what frequency that is, but it's down 412 kilohertz or 425 somewhere down in that range is what these crystals were. And if I remember right, they were for some kind of a military radio that were in tanks during World War II. And the FedI6Q is here. He'll know exactly what the crystal is, but channel 298. I was able to find a few of them, but I need a few more. And so slowly but surely, one of these days I'll find another 1 or 2 of them, or not. And we'll be able to complete this. But I had the SS75 I've actually had on the air. I was able to get enough for that transmitter. And that's an interesting radio. It's 75 meters in 4 channels. It's got a VFO dial on the front, but there are 50 kilohertz segments of 75 meters. But it works. And I've had it on the roundtable here a number of years ago. With that, I'm going to have to send it back to you, Dave, because I forget who I was supposed to send it to. I wasn't paying attention. So this is NU6X in Sedona. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, Mark. Well, that's pretty rare. That's pretty rare as well as Bob's 10 dome, I think you said. I'd never heard of it. I've been aware of VFOs with always-on heating, but to put a name on the element, that was interesting. Anyway, it goes to Lisa, KF6QNG. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Dave, for taking the roundtable this evening. Thank you to Dave for taking the earlies. And let's see, the question of the evening, do not have an answer, so Dennis can have my 2 minutes, I guess. So hope everyone has a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving holiday, and hopefully we'll be back next week. So take it away, Dennis, W62 from KF6QNG.
Okay, Lisa, thank you. KF6QNG in the vintage single sideband roundtable W60Q, Dennison and Yokern.
where it's cooling down, but the ham shack is warm for a change. Let's see, we are running one of the S lines tonight. This is the 32S3A, the 75S3C, and the 30S1 amplifier using an SM3 microphone out to an inverted Z that's up about 55-60 feet in the air. And everybody really sounds great tonight. Hearing everybody just fine, and the audio's good. So it's been fun listening to everybody this evening. So, Dave, that's a great question, and I'm gonna reverse it. I'm gonna share a story, and I think this has been shared before, not necessarily by me, but our dear friend Pete, K5PZ, was restoring a Invader 2000, and it had a bad filter in it. You know, the bad IF filter in there. And we were talking about it one day, and I said, well, heck, I've got one. I had one in my parts boxes here. Or actually, in those days, that was actually in Fullerton at the time, that I had them in stock. I had a filter for an Invader. And so I gave that to him, and he got that transmitter. It had been on here more than a few times. He did a lot of work on that Invader 2000 and fixed a lot of what you can consider maybe shortcuts that the engineering team took in fabricating that radio that they shouldn't have done, and Pete corrected a lot of those problems. And they had to do with grounding of audio lines and things like that, the shielded cables, how they were grounded, how they were routed through the chassis. But I was able to give him that filter, and that was like the last thing he needed to get that transmitter going. And I felt so darn good about that. And whoever has his old Invader 2000 now know that filter was rescued from me from another Invader that I had probably 50 plus years ago that bit the pork chop. That was the leftover from that radio that was became a parts donor. So anyway, that's it. So Dave, thank you very much for hosting this evening. We've got some great responses out there. Jay, thanks for taking the early list. And I'm going to send it back over to you, Dave. So WJ6W and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
Okay, Dennis and Lisa, thank you very much. So you're sort of Mr. Unobtainium for Pete, K5PZ. Of course, we all miss him so much. Yeah, very good. Okay, well, let's continue on here. The next four I have is WA6JKN Kevin. So I think it's by remote. And then it goes to N4DLA Matthew. And then it goes to Frank, who is the one who offered the question, actually. K6FEW, Frank, K6FEW. And then Brian, NI6Q, if you'll finish it up for this group. Frank, send it over to Brian, NI6Q. So, W6JKN, go ahead, WJ6W.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. Yeah, you're right. I'm operating remote from Tyler, Texas. As a matter of fact, I'm using an iPhone, and everybody's coming through very, very good. Good audio all the way through, and I love John's setup there with the signal generator and stuff like that. It sounds real good. The spectrum scope says not bad at all, considering. All right, well, let's see. Question of the evening. I came up with several. I'm going to explain, try to remember the details, because I think it's the shortest story of the bunch, and that will fit nicely in 2 minutes. Hopefully in 1 minute. So here we go. I had an old military receiver, the BC-312. The backup capacitors were starting to go bad. So somebody had another 312, so I picked that up, and I I saw that, yep, those bathtub capacitors go bad, but what they did, they installed these 3 terminal strips to replace the bathtub capacitor with 3 different orange drop capacitors. Okay, I didn't want to do that. That just didn't look right. So I got a hold of my mentor, and he's an old aerospace engineer from El Segundo area. And he says, you remember that American Beauty we picked up at the swap meet down there in Southern California? It's the one you guys go to all the time. It was the American Beauty. He says, take that American Beauty and touch the bathtub capacitor and de-lid it. And sure enough, that lid came right on. He said, clean out all the gunk in there. And then get some orange drop capacitors, drop them in there, resolder them, and then re-lid the bathtub capacitor. And I did that on every bathtub capacitor that was in that military receiver. It was easy, it was fast. If you've ever worked on one of those receivers, you know what I'm talking about. So that was my obscure issue, and how I resolved it by calling one of my ham radio mentors. Well, that's it for me from Tyler, Texas. Everything's going fine here. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And over to my good friend Matthew, N4, DLA, WA60.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. WA6JKN and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable from Matthew, N4 Delta Lima Alpha, N4 DLA in Orinda, California, about 15 miles east of San Francisco. Transceiver tonight is the world premiere of my Heathkit HW12 75-meter single bander with a Turner 350C mobile microphone, listening on a Heathkit mobile speaker, straight feeding a 75-meter dipole sloping down from 60 feet, about 100 watts peak output. On the non-Heathkit meter, the Heathkit meter I have needs to be recalibrated. Almost found out the hard way. This is reading way too low. And NI6Q Brian sounding great out here. And really good signals out of everybody. And welcome to Mary KN6IYC. Also rolling with the Heathkit tonight there, SB 101 from Granite Hills. Question of the evening. I have a Lafayette solid state PF175 VHF public safety receiver. Has a just tunable. It has 30 to 50 megs and 150 to 174 megs. And has an on-off switch that's going bad. And it's interesting on-off switch because it's on-off for AC and DC. You can also run this, even though it's a fixed station receiver, it can be with AC supply built in. You can run it on 12 volts. But I've never found a replacement switch that had terminals for 12 volts. This had 2 different sets of terminals, one to wire on the AC line and one for the 12 volts. And I still haven't found one. So there's your solid state equipment. Just can't find stuff for it. And I'm not about to get another receiver to part out for it. I'd rather just fix what I have. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And thank you to NY6L for taking the DX pile up. I mean the early check-ins. And thank you, Dave, for running the net. WJ6W. On to Frank, K6FEW from N4DLA. Thanks, Matthew. K6FEW here. Hope everybody's copying. Let's see. The experience, I'm on the Technical Materials Corporation, the TMC FD2, because my CE20A is not behaving. So it's getting out. I'm having to run it through a little Temtec amp, and then my Hillcraft KPA100, trying to get 100 watts out, which I hope is working. In any case, the thing that brought this question to mind
rigs, both the CE20A and the TMC SPE2. After fiddling around with the tubes and the modulation transporters and trying to balance everything out, phasing modules, I finally decided I needed to replace the diode bridges and needed some germanium diodes. And so I went to all my usual places, DGT and Mouser and everybody and Newark, and they said they'd be glad to give me an axial discrete germanium diode for $84 each with a 14-week lead time. I had visions of myself trying to get a surface mount version and solder little leads on the end under a microscope, but I eventually, after agonizing over this for a couple of weeks, decided I'd just Google, discrete germanium diode and see what happens, and lo and behold, Amazon popped up. And turns out everybody uses these things in lab classes for tech schools and engineering schools. So I ordered them off Amazon, and they came in from China, and I thought, well, I wonder how these are going to work. And they just, when they came in, they worked great. The forward voltage was in a millivolt for the whole set of them. So at any rate, I put those in, and everything went well. So that was what inspired the question here. I thought it was rather humorous. I went to all that trouble and then found out I could have gotten them off Amazon. At any rate, thanks very much, Dave, for doing this weekend. I hope you can copy me now. That was a rough go around, and Dave, as usual, you're the perfect host here. So let me. I hope everybody has a great. Sorry, I just cut out there. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, and I'll hand it back to Dave. WJ6WK6. Oh no, I'm supposed to hand it over. Supposed to hand it over to Brian. All right. So NI6Q K6FEW. Go ahead. Brian, NI6Q. If you're there, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. WJ6W and the group. This is NI6Q here in Flagstaff, Arizona. All right. Well, good signals and very good propagation tonight, and very interesting question. Thank you very much for coming up with it. And I'm using tonight this is the Barker and Williamson 6100, spinning a Collins 30S1 to a dipole antenna on this frequency. Receiver being a 75A4. So there we go. Question of the evening. Well, recently, I acquired, a Geloso station, which is an Italian station, quite rare in this country. And the receiver came from my good friend Mark, and it was complete, needed, some restoration, but it was fine. But I got the transmitter from a good friend in Canada, and he sent it to me as a gift for my birthday, of all things. And which was very nice. And it was very nice and working and all that, but it did not have a cabinet. The cabinet enclosure was missing altogether. So I went out to go and try to find a single enclosure for such a transmitter from 1959. And of course, that was extremely difficult. And believe it or not, about 3 or 4 months later, I was able, going through an Italian amateur who was kind of was nice enough, to go onto the different forums over there and talk to some of his mates in Italy. I came up with a nice gentleman who had just that. He had the cabinet with nothing in it, just the cabinet, and he was able to put me in contact with the person in question, and after kind of a quick transaction. I acquired the cabinet for a very reasonable price, and I paid, about twice, I guess, in transportation to get it back here. But anyway, that was a scary part to look for, believe me, because those cabinets, especially empty like that, are none available or very difficult to find, because not many of the complete finished Geloso stations were available really. They were expensive at the time. You found a lot of VFOs and parts and everything from Geloso in Italy, all throughout Europe. But the finished products were, kind of for I would say, the upper crust there, just like Collins or something like that, and not too many of them around. Fortunately, some other products, General shortwave receivers and things like that, did have the same cabinet as well. And that would have been plan B, to buy a complete receiver. And they go usually for about $250 or something like that. But then you have, to rent for transportation from Europe back here. So that was a hard one. But now everybody's happy. Transmitter is in the case. Everybody, over there did their good deed and participated in the true amateur radio way. And that was my hard part, the later hard part. So anyway, that's it. And I think it goes to KW1NG, November Golf. I will tentatively pass it over to him, if I may. Dave, thank you for doing the roundtable tonight, and thanks to Jay as well, who did a very good job in taking the earlies, I have to say. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and we'll be listening around. So KW1NG, this is an I6Q flex time.
Yeah, Brian, I have some information you don't have. That is, Ken sent me a email that his 32S3 powered by Boa Fusion he has to drop out. So anyway, he was next, and Brian, very good. Well, that's a pretty rare find, and the case was worldwide almost. Essentially worldwide, so very interesting. And let's see, Brian, during, I would say, 2/3 of your transmission, there was sounded like a microphone cord breakup, some kind of loose connection breakup, and then it cleared up completely. So I don't know if it was just something on the air in the background or your rig or what, but at the end of your transmission it was perfect. So I don't know what that was. And Frank, you had a little bit of audio intermittency once in a while on your setup. I think it's the lash up, so you're probably doing the best you can. But we copied your find down here, and very good on Amazon having germanium diodes. I know in the past I've looked for germanium parts, and it was very hard. And I think those in the days before Amazon was much of a player, so that's very interesting. Okay, let's see. We have two more on the list here, and then we'll close the Signbad Roundtable. We have Ron, K2RP, and Ron, then if you'll turn it to a new member, at least new to me, KN6WNE, that's Keith. And then Keith back to me. K2RP, WJ6W.
that was one of the interesting ones. One of the reasons I wanted, I'm sorry I'm too late, I was at a party. Feedback loop, I want to get in here. Like many of us, I'm running out of space and running out of time and energy to do a lot of stuff. I have accumulated a couple of dozen parts units, a lot of HD transceivers and transmitters and receivers, mostly the F-series of SSB 101 and HW 101 and those. And I have some national stuff and some helicopter stuff. I got tons and tons of parts. Anybody who wants them is welcome to them. Send them out into a reasonable rate that don't have any stuff. Come out, pick it up, pay for the shipping or whatever. Some small parts I'm happy to help anybody who can use them because I probably won't. I have things, some of them are complete as far as I know. I never worked on it. That would be a W5100. That's been sitting on the shelf for 10 years. And I never plugged it in, I never tried it. It looks complete. It might even work if you plugged it in. I don't know. But anybody who wants it, please send me an email, k2rp@AOL.net, because I hate to see them all go in the dump, which would happen upon my demise. Anyway, I have on the W6100. Never hear that one very often. I guess Brian, I think the one that was archived has a NS75A4. And what else was I going to say? The Geloso receivers. I have two of them. One is having a problem, the other one works. One is the 209. The more common one they actually run. Imported into this country in the late 50s for a short time. And I also have a 207CR, which I can find absolutely almost nothing on. It's also a collector. You know, told me he'd never seen one. Got one of those, and that one was. I was beginning to think of where I could find parts for it. Anyway, let's look for my newcomer. KN6WRE or something like that. I didn't get it on. Let's pick it up. K2RP.
Keith, KN6WNE, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Roger that. This is KN6 Whiskey November Echo from Kilo C Romeo Papa. Yeah, I'm kind of actually I'm kind of a new ham. I've only had my license since just for a year, just November 16th. And I got my first bone anchor SC101 Bravo back in August. And I bought it off eBay, and it didn't work. But anyway, just to tell you what I'm running on right now. So I'm on an SC101EE, and it's going through MSA 949 Echo manual tuner to my C5RP. So back to the 101B, that was my first Dennis radio that I bought. And took a chance with it. It feeds pretty good. It transmits, but I couldn't go into Mach mode to make sure my plate voltage was correct. So, pull out schematics, watch YouTube videos, tore things apart, cleaned it, replaced P13 capacitor, replaced the resistors that I could do the work. And I finally found, well, let me look at how other radios are under 101. A buddy might have got one, and I took a voltmeter and kind of poked around with a switch, and I figured out how to that switch. So, to get running at 5 is like, I couldn't find it. This thing's I feel buy a whole other radio. I just go look at the switch, and the switch has got 3 connectors on it. So But if you turn it upside down, it's got the same three connectors. So I just put the switch upside down, reconnected the wires. Now to go into Mach mode, and I can check my plate voltage, and it works great. So that's my story. I'm going to hand it back over to Whiskey, Juliet 6, Whiskey, Dave, Texas is Stan 6, WND, Whiskey November Echo. Hopefully my signal is good, and I'm on frequency. But anyway, thank you very much for letting me join the net.
Well, you're very welcome, Keith. Welcome to the net, and that's a really great story about how you were able to MacGyver it together there to make it work. Switching the switch, I guess it's probably a rotary switch or something upside down. Very good. All right. Well, with that, that's the last station I have on the list, and with that, we'll close the Vintage Sideband Roundtable for tonight. And we normally award a Golden Cup Award for the most interesting response, and we had really quite a few, including yours, Keith. That's very good. JIB, the always-on filament resistor, the Can Dome, if I have that right. And Mark with the rare crystal filter crystal needed, the crystal you need. That was pretty interesting. And JKN with the bathtubs. I did the shortcut version of that on a 75A1. I'm sorry to say, but I didn't think it was too bad. You don't see them underneath the chassis, but that was pretty clever and very nice what you did there. But I think I want to give the Golden Cup to Brian, NI6Q, because of the very rare Geloso transmitter and the lengths you had to go around the world to find a cabinet, which you would think would be almost impossible. So, Brian, do you have room for another award there? NI6Q, WJ6W.
Well, Dave, I'm actually looking at the shelf where all the different cups I had previously won, on this round table are. I think if I push them all, slightly to the left, I could put another one. So thank you very much. I'm very honored, of course. And, well, it was really a matter of getting together with the other folks there in Italy and finding that particular piece. And, by the way, two things for Mark. Yeah, those crystals were in the BC 604, which is a tank FM radio of World War II. Press button there, that big thing, and they use those crystals, so it comes from that particular rig, and they come in drawers and boxes and things like that, so it could be found, no question. And K2RP, very interesting to know that you have a 209, that's a receiver I have as well here in my Geloso station that can be seen on my QLZ page, but the 207CR, I'd be more interested, of course, in having, some info on that. I don't know if it looks like the 209 or if it's a general coverage receiver or something like that, but I, without, thinking about it, I don't know what it is either, so there you go. All right, with that, I'll pass it back to you, Dave, and thank you very much. I feel, you made my day, there's no question.
Okay, Brian, very good. Well, there were a lot of interesting stories tonight. I wish I could give everybody one of those awards, but we have to choose somebody, and that was very deserving, I think. And I did want to mention what Ron said. I'm sure everybody heard it, but he has lots of parts and radios that he would be glad to help anyone out who needs them. Heathkit SD and HW series, B&W Helicopters, and I think others. Just contact him at k2rp@arrl.net, and that's very generous of you, Ron. So with that, we'll conclude the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable. Want to wish everybody a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving coming right up here. And if there's anyone else with any other comments before we close things out? Okay, well, thank you all for your attention, and we'll talk to you next time. WJ6W, good night.